Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to this transmission. The subject today is leading an intuitive life. I was called to share some of my experiences in a different way than ever before, but equally in a way that holds insights that will help many of you on your path of ascension, on your everyday life, and everything that is encompassed to those aspects of yours that you are clearing or integrating now. This is Elena the Greek, and we will be channeling today the Aurora Angelic Collective, which is a relatively new energy I have connected with for many reasons. I won't get into specifics, it's not the time, it won't serve any purpose of explaining why now. For some reason I keep seeing red roses, and with that is my signal that Mary Magdalene is here with us. So both of these energies, the Aurora Angelic Collective and Mary Magdalene, will be guiding us into unpacking this intuitive life we are here to integrate from now on. And maybe some of you have already started this, as I have, but it will definitely be the theme from now on for the rest of 2025 until 2027. So bear with me and know that this is a timeless reading transmission that you can go back to whenever you feel drawn to. There will be some nudges for you to take away from this, or there will be reminders of this reading, of this video, of this transmission later on in your life to show you where you are guided or what to integrate more. This summer, some of you already know that I spent a lot of time in my village, and that was a very fast decision that was building up only within a few days. And I was called to move there, literally, without even me knowing for how long I would be staying. So I had to make the decision to be open, to go there and stay for as long as it feels right to me, always intuitively in a huge way, and without having something specific in the back of my mind, without being too rigid as to why I'm doing this or for how long and the rest of the details. Of course, I got with me everything I would possibly need, and this is the example that my higher self wants me to share with you as an intuitive lifestyle. You will be called to make some decisions that they will be showing up to you last minute, meaning that you may have been planning something else or nothing at all, even going through your life in a very normal way as you usually do, and maybe for a few days you will be called to do something out of the ordinary, even if it is connected with a wish you used to have, even if it is connected with a desire that came in for seconds and it was dismissed, or a remembrance of a wish you always had. And you may not even remember that you once wished that thing to happen for you. Okay, so you are called, and know that you will be handed everything you need, and you have to trust the process, where that means that you have to take the steps that are necessary with these feelings that come up to you and show you what you have to be doing next, what is meant to be done next for you, and they will be giving you the right nudges as to why to do it. It will feel right logically and intuitively at the same time. And all you have to do is follow that, not even justifying it to yourself, but even if that is needed, you will be having the right justification just for you in order to build up the power, the energy, the force you need to be taking actions in that direction. And all you have to do is follow it. But also know that even if your logical mind kicks in a way that is not productive in that direction, they will be pushing you to do it so much that it even may feel overwhelming if you choose to do otherwise. having that as the foundation of how to lead an intuitive life, we are moving on to following what excites you the most, what makes you feel that you need to be doing something for yourself in the best way possible. And even if that goes against your previous principles of how you make choices, know that your mindset, your beliefs will be changing, and you will be feeling the urge to call out yourself in a way that, hey, I'm not gonna be doing that anymore because it hasn't paid out for me so far, it hasn't helped me so far, it hasn't served any purpose for me, or the results I saw after the actions I took actually got me in a space that I didn't like, I didn't enjoy. So pretty much your beliefs will be changing if they haven't already, and it is a constant flow of change, trust me on this. You will be changing so much that everything that was holding you back because of others, because of your beliefs, because of what you thought was right or wrong for you and for others to do, all of this will be gradually changing in a way that you won't be able to say no to these intuitive feelings, where you have to go, what you have to do, where you have to be, and why. There is a lot of reflection that is taking place currently for many light workers, especially the first wavers, but not only. In regards to the beliefs we were holding on to, and there is a huge epiphany that takes place for many of us at different points of time, that what we believe or used to believe as right or wrong, no matter how many beliefs we have collapsed, how many beliefs we have replaced with new ones, there is a huge shift that is taking place now that is calling us to think in a different way, in a way that I will explain the phrase. Right or wrong, this is what serves me now, this is what I desire now, this is what I want now, and I'm okay with following this regardless. Which means that we can't be working constantly on our beliefs, mindset, or breaking through huge amounts of energy that feels difficult to push through. It feels difficult to navigate. We can visualize doors open instead of doors closed and locked. It doesn't work anymore because we are pushing through too much energy to do that. What we are embracing now is a new way of thinking like right or wrong. This is what I desire, and I intend to satisfy my desires. I intend to follow my desires as a compass to what I need to be doing next for my well-being. And keep that in the back of your mind and use it whenever you see fit, whenever you see it appropriate, because it's a game changer. We are wired in the core of our beings through many eons, but also through many lifetimes, but also through ancestral lineages, but also through collective beliefs and the collective consciousness of programs that now serve as illusions. And because they serve as illusions, we don't have the easy way to break through these illusions. We can't be focusing our energy and attention and constantly identifying that this is an illusion, this is an illusion, this is an illusion, this is a belief that people were holding in the 1970s or whatever. I'm gonna be breaking through that by focusing on a different mindset. This, right or wrong, I'm gonna follow this intuitive feeling, I'm gonna satisfy this desire of mine for whatever the reason needs to take place now for myself. And this is the easiest way, because we navigated and we entertained everything else before so far as first waivers, and we try to break through all these programs on the collective consciousness that were holding us back, but we have come into an awareness that this is not working out, that this is exhausting in many ways, that we can't actually dissolve what has been created for so many eons, literally. So we are gonna be doing something else, installing new programs in a way that serves us. And it's not exactly bypassing, because you may think of it as such. It's not a bypassing. On the contrary, it is you being authentic to yourself and using exactly what you need for the reason that you need it now. And in many ways, this is a choice from your end, my end, and so on and so forth, as light workers, light bringers, that we are bringing down our own codes of how to navigate life, how to be the authentic version of us in the most integrated and embodied way, instead of trying to prove what is not working so far and why. And we have been doing that a lot. Even if you scroll through your social media, you will find a lot of posts, even mine, trying to dissolve these old beliefs that are still holding us back, and there is no dissolution that can take place in that space. All we can do is access our own codes, our own programs of how life is done, is lived, is experienced, and through that, we are helping others to copy this frequency in order to live their own authentic life. And with that, I'm moving on to a different kind of subject, different point of this transmission, the entanglements from the 3D. So through these choices, the intuitive choices we have to make from now on, we are dissolving entanglements that have taken place in the 3D versions of us. We were born in the 3D, some of us are still entangled with the 3D, most of us are already in the 5D, but we are dissolving these entanglements from all the other versions of ourselves. Remember, I have many videos and transmissions so far talking about how we are removing the 3D anchors that we are still connecting us to the 3D, so we can move more integrated and more embodied into the 5D and how things are going to be from now on. The point with that is that you can't dismiss a version of yours that has existed in a clever, smart way to dissolve the entanglement from the 3D. The version of yours that experienced the 3D needs to be integrated, and this is a crown chakra principle. With the crown chakra, it's not just the connection we have with the divine or our spirit guides or galactic races and blah 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 blah. It has to do with the divinity within us, and the divinity within us is encompassing everything that we have been, everything that we are, everything that will be. It encompasses all aspects of self. Either those aspects of self are connected with the shadow self, the higher self, a version of yours that was satisfying others, was people pleaser or whatever. This version of yours cannot be cut off. We have done that in many other lifetimes where the collective energy was very different and very dark. Now we are here to create union and unity within, which has to do with absorbing those versions of self, integrating them as part of us, and in that way we have to work through the entanglements that were created with those versions of us and the 3D earth. And that's not usually an easy task, believe me, because these entanglements are dissolved through experience, through experiencing your connection with others, through experiencing yourself through the desires you used to have in that 3D version of yours, through going through the lessons you've had to integrate but you didn't know how to integrate back then as that version of yourself. So you may feel a lot of experiences or memories or desires and wishes or even connections that you used to have as that 3D version of yours showing up now, especially this summer and after. We will be experiencing this in a huge way because we have to work on the integration part better than ever before and more in alignment. So you can't cut off that soul part of yours in that 3D version of yours in order to escape or bypass that lesson. You have to integrate that version of yours and you have to go through that learning experience you missed or you didn't know how to handle or you didn't know what that meant for you through the intensity of the emotions that probably show up, through the conflict of thoughts that may show up with these people, with these situations, with these desires you used to have. And before, it was easier for us to dismiss or complete the integration through a mental process. So, for example, this was my desire, for example, and I always wanted to do that as a child or as a teenager or as a young adult, and that wasn't possible because of this and this and that reason. Now, at this stage of my life, I don't want that desire because of a different reason. We used to be able to do that. Now we are not. Now we are meant to be experiencing the intensity of our thoughts, the mental process, or the intensity of our emotions, the emotional process. We are going to be called to experience these situations that we could dismiss before and now we can't, because the knowledge and the wisdom that comes out of these experiences is profound and it is pretty much needed for you and the next stages that are coming up, so you can move forward more integrated, having integrated the whole knowledge you needed from that experience. And you may even notice that a lot of experiences you did have in your early 20s or in your teenage years, a wisdom that was profound for that age, comes or had come in that stage of your life from your future self. So there's no escaping, because the experiences you have now, that you have them from a different perspective of awareness, are meant to be fully integrated, because you are sending notes and help and support to your younger self. The wisdom and the knowledge you are integrated now is sent to your younger self as a note of how to escape or how to best handle a specific situation that has shown up in your past, but through your past, I'm sorry for that, it is still present. So there is a different kind of understanding of past, present and future, which leads me to my next point of this transmission. And the past, present and future self are integrating in a huge way with a lot of knowledge and wisdom coming as one, which means that many times you receive affirmative signs to move forward in a specific action, in a specific experience that ends up to be experienced as traumatic, and you are like, why would I guide myself intuitively into this traumatic experience, and why should I trust my intuition from now on, which is something that many of us have gone through, and we feel kind of beaten up by the universe, the higher self, the spirit guides, everyone around us. And there comes a point where that question is answered through wisdom in a way that leaves us speechless, which is exactly this. We have to go through these experiences because they are literally the best that they could have been, the less painful if that can exist as a comparison, and it helps us in so many other ways that we always have these aha moments saying, this is why I went through that. Oh, okay. Now I see that I was fully protected, I was fully guided, and I should always trust that guidance, even if it leads to something traumatic for my perception, for my current perception, because it is still the most loving thing that I could have guided myself into, and I have managed to integrate a lot of wisdom, a lot of aspects of myself really fast, really well, and I came to the conclusion that in spite of all of these challenges, I'm still very resilient and I'm very aligned. Which brings us to again having that union and unity within self, which are very important, and this is what the crown chakra represents, the union and unity of all aspects of self. Remember, the crown chakra is the 1,000 petals. We can be extremely excited for our connection with spirit. And believe me, it is the most loving thing we can experience, because our spirit guides and higher self and highest self and galactic races and guides from any point of time, space, any form or shape they show up as, spirit animals, anything you can imagine of. The love that they are holding the space for us is truly unconditional, and we don't want to get out of that connection. We don't want to get out of that feeling of how we are held and the container we are co-creating in that space. Still, we have to create the balance with the human and physical life, not only the spiritual life that is of bliss. And it brings us to our knees because of the love we experience in that space. We have to remember that we came here for many, many other reasons, and part of those reasons we came here have to do with experiencing life as best as possible and creating the feelings we can create on this planet and experience those feelings that we can experience in this planet. And this is why many spirit guides can be jealous of that experience. Jealous in a way that, oh, you are lucky, you are incarnated. Yeah, I don't say it like that. We can have this conversation within our guides, within ourselves, but still it is a beautiful experience to have, and we have to make that our compass and our goal of experiencing life as best as possible. Now, what else is happening has to do with everything and anyone that may have you in a space of questioning and doubting yourself, your choices, if this is rational, if this is logical, of why this is happening. And I have explained in previous transmissions and videos on this channel that anger and sacred anger are very beneficial emotions. They are pretty much exactly what we need to break through some specific situations that we found as normal. Yet there is always that self-doubt, that questioning of self, of questioning of our own perception, and feeling alone and lonely in that perspective of viewing life and others around us. So anything that keeps you in a mode of playing it small, anyone that has been gaslighting you, either consciously or unconsciously, or with the people you have around you, or even with the beliefs you think you have about yourself, you end up dimming your own light through unconscious actions, through those beliefs that you can't shake off no matter how much you work on yourself. And they might not even be visible for you for a long period of time. All of these things are coming now to the light. All it takes is usually a question that will trigger an event of energies happening, taking place, and putting you in the space of wanting to explore if that exists in your life, if you are being gaslighted, if you are dimming your own light. And looking back, I always had too many questions playing out in my head in my effort to explore myself, not in my effort to find someone to blame for or in an effort to understand how energy works between people and all of these things. Yes, to that, but not. That wasn't my goal, that wasn't my perspective of life or energy or even my desire. My desire was to explore, have I gaslighted myself? Have I allowed others to gaslight me? And how? Because many times we think we are very firm with our boundaries, and we are. That's not an illusion. Sometimes we feel that we love someone too much or we show too much understanding, and that gets us into a space of allowance more of allowing more than what we should be tolerating. And then we get into a space of accepting life as it is. We surrender to, okay, I'm doing the best with what I have as given in the current moment of my life, yet I would like to explore more. And that is the mindset that starts showing you what is truly going on in your life with the people you have currently in your life, chosen or not, and in most cases they are chosen. In every case they are chosen in some ways, even before we incarnate. But the point is, you are going to be called to take the blinders off and see the truth of your environment. And I mean environment in the wider sense of it, not just the weather or the current circumstances of the seasonal circumstances or whatever. I mean environment in the wider perspective of it, where you will have to recognize literally anything and anyone that is around you and has been from the beginning of your life until now, those that are stable in your life, those that are in and out depending on whatever the circumstances, those that have showed up only for once and they left, those that stayed for a while and then left. You will be called to see things that they were touching your awareness, but they wouldn't sink in. Because of the filters we used to have, because of the beliefs we were still holding on to, or even the idea that this person loves me or I love this person, you will be called to see beyond these protective masks we were wearing before, beyond the blinders we used to have on, because this is what life served us. So if life gives you lemons, make a lemonade. And you will be in a space of, whoa, wow, okay, now I see. And the things you will be seeing, again, will be touching a small percentage of the truth of what is going on, or has been going on actually, but still they will give you a good idea, clarity, on the things that were disturbing you before and you didn't know why. Because logically, even through shadow work, you had set these layers off and you felt satisfied and okay. I've seen that, I've seen that, and I've seen that too, so I will be removing that person from my life. Or I will be removing myself from that person's life because there is no alignment anymore. Now it is in a different way that takes place. So even with the things that you knew why you were tolerating, there will be a different kind of perspective of viewing these things that will give you a good sense if you are in an environment that promotes you positively, or if you need to be changing that environment entirely. And this is why this is the root chakra year, where a lot of things are changing in the dynamics of relationships, of connections, of places, of finances, of literally every aspect of ourselves when it comes to the root chakra principles. And of course, the most important aspect that feels as a non-action activity for us as light workers, though it changes everything, is recognizing yourself where you doubted yourself, recognizing those triggers, why things were triggering you in that way or in the other way. Now you will know why. You will have a different sense of clarity. And what happens in a parallel way is you declaring to the universe, your highest self, and your guides, and your own consciousness, most importantly, that this is something I don't appreciate anymore. This is something I don't tolerate. This is something that I wouldn't like to have it in my life from now on. In a way that I don't care, this is crucial, I don't care how that will change or what has to change in my life, but I don't want this anymore in my life for whatever the reason. And when you have this kind of thought process with the things you're facing in your life, you are creating something new, something different that you don't know what that is, but the awareness of what I don't want, what I don't appreciate, what I don't like, what I tolerate, what I like, what I appreciate, what I would like to have more of that in my life, will actually create that life for you, or actually it creates the way, the path for you to slide in that life. And this is interesting because as oracle, you would think that I could see a lot of things further in my life, but still, I'm not just an oracle, I'm a lot of more than just that. And because as human beings, we need the element of surprise, of excitement, of having to decide last minute what we would make as a choice in this situation, in this case, in this and that, and follow our own intuition, follow my intuition in this specific example, I won't be able to viewing what is coming up next in some specific situations. Although in the wider scheme of things, I do have clues, a lot of clues, even visions that are being shown. So if you are like me in that sense, or a psychic that you are projecting your energy forward, trying to figure out what's coming up next, believe me, the less you see about yourself in some situations, the better the navigation comes to happen when these moments come into the present moment, because we are projecting our consciousness forward to check a lot of things and we are messing things up, or we are trying to prepare ourselves beforehand for something that it's not exactly how it plays out to be. And we consume and waste a lot of energy and thought process and emotional energy as well. And for what? Things are gonna be playing out exactly as they should, and this is where we have to place trust and surrender without the need to control what's coming up next. And this is part of the golden era. This is part of the ascension process. This is part of living and leading an intuitive life. Surrendering, trusting, and know that a lot of things will be given to you, surrendered to you, presented to you in a way that you couldn't even predict. And that is even better because your consciousness is expanded in a specific way at this point of time. So things will be coming up in a way you don't expect it, and that is absolutely fantastic. Moving on to the next subject of this transmission has to do with redirections, that I would like to call them shortcuts, because it resonates for me like that, and I will explain why. Redirections are happening to each one of us in every aspect of our lives, regardless of what we are experiencing or what we need to be experiencing next. And usually we create a lot of resistance in experiencing these redirections. Let's say, for example, I'm focused on my spiritual expansion of what kind of soul gifts and spiritual gifts I can open up to, how I can use them as tools to my sessions, how can I use them as tools to expanding others' consciousnesses in many ways. And my redirection is to focus on psychology, yes, psychological factors that influence our souls and spirits instead of my spiritual gifts. And that is a redirection that took place for me 3 years ago approximately. And I was, where are we going? So I had no clue as to where we were headed, but still I went with it. But the resistance that grew within me was something else. Of course, it played an amazing learning process for me as well to understand, oh, this is resistance, oh, this is how I hold on to the resistance, and this is how things are shifting when I'm surrendering that resistance, okay? And I explored the resistance in many ways, from human ego perspective, from spiritual ego perspective, from unconscious ego perspective, and with the two first, I can really work with my clients when it comes to that level. But with the ego that comes from the unconscious is something that I had to understand myself, that there's nothing I can do about it if the client is not willing to do something about it. If they're not willing to understand what's that about and how it works through them. So I did understood how this works for me, how far I can go, how far I can be of service in that area, and what is my no, like this is my boundary that I won't be working with people that they're not willing to understand that kind of resistance they are creating from the unconscious, because no matter what I say and how smart I will play it out with them to bring it to their awareness, that aspect of theirs, the unconscious ego, will be playing it smarter, because it always shifts and changes until the person is ready to integrate that within themselves. So about these redirections and why I call them shortcuts, my best answer from what I have reflected so far and understood from experiences of myself and the people I'm working with, have to do with a faster way to get you where you are meant to be going. A faster way, and a paradoxical even way, that will be helping you get where you meant to be going in a faster way, because you are learning some of the factors that influence the whole picture of your visions of what excites you, that will help you have these epiphanies faster, and you will be able to understand what works for you and what doesn't work for you from now on in a better way. And believe me, these shortcuts are extremely useful and applicable in every sense of your path, even if your path is to become a healer, a light worker, whatever that you need to be becoming, okay, transformative coach, someone that does an irrelevant job, but they are using the spiritual wisdom and knowledge in that irrelevant day job, and they make a huge difference at where they are and the people that they are working with, or even the environment they are working at. And this is the most beautiful thing of all, to accept how reality works for you and accept everything that may feel as a redirection. And I think I'm done with this transmission. I will leave in the description box a couple of these bullets that we explained, a couple of these subjects we went through for leading an intuitive life. of how you are getting into the golden era without even realizing it at this point of time. Probably it will become clearer. These bullet points will be definitely needed from now on and at least until 2027. There will be many different applications of these bullet points, I'm being told, and always I go back to the things I have channeled to get a wider perspective of things and more clarity, or a deeper application of the things I have grounded for one aspect of my life, for example. They are always useful, and I hope it means the same to you, and I hope it makes sense to you as well. I would love to see your comments. I would love to see if you liked this kind of transmission that came through in a different way than ever before. It feels more grounded, more rounded, more specific, and it definitely calls on to people. It calls on to specific light workers. It calls on to specific people that want to be expanding in this direction, and I know it makes sense to them, to you that you are listening this transmission, and this is it, I think. I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to see how this applies in your life, in what way and sense. There will be some guided meditations that are coming up, I've been told, in regards to this specific transmission about leading an intuitive life. Remember, there's no right or wrong when it comes to your desires, even if those desires are meant to be lasting only a few seconds, only a few days, only a few weeks, or even a few months. Nothing is here to stay forever. And I've been told also to give this message that everything is energy. The things you have been building up on energetically, even if they have gone to the back burner for the time being, for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years or whatever, energy still exists. It cannot be destroyed, it can only be altered, transmuted, navigated, redirected, yes, to all of this. But whatever you have been doing and building up on is never destroyed, and a lot of things that you have been creating for quite a while now will be showing up from now on. And this is how your perception will be shifting into how energy works in a way that will make a different sense to you. I hope this makes sense and resonates with you. Let me know in the comments. And the more you interact with these videos, even when you silently watch these videos without some kind of interaction, we are still connecting and we are still getting into a space of interacting energetically. And I would love to be your guide at this path that we are all walking on lately. If you would like to connect with me for a private session, a mentorship pack, or whatever you feel intuitively drawn to, please make sure you check out my website. I always have links on the description box and on this channel. I would love to see more of you, beautiful souls. And as always, be true to yourself and be your true self. Because everything is energy, right?